And the competency of maintains presence. Number 6 in the markers says that the coach creates or allows space for silence, for pause, and for reflection. The ability to use silence is powerful. It's powerful for coaching presence. It's powerful for the client. And it's powerful to witness what happens. The most skilled coaches use silence in incredible ways. And it's because they're comfortable not knowing. They're in complete control of their emotions, so they don't feel like they need to fill the space of silence. They hold their clients as competent, creative, resourceful, whole, not needing to be fixed. And they're okay with giving the client a question and just sitting and waiting for the client to process. They don't jump in and try to save the client by asking another question or explaining the question or rephrasing the question. Because what they understand is that by doing that, you're breaking the client's thinking. I've seen coaches not pay attention to the client and jump in too quick and ask questions. And what they're doing is they are diminishing the client's ability to think. So maybe you asked a question and the client answered. And the client pauses and they're not looking at you. They're looking up, they're writing, they're looking down, but they're not looking at you. If they're not looking at you, they are not finished. When the client is finished talking, they will look back at you and wait for another question. Use that as a cue. Don't ever interrupt your client when they're looking away from you. So you want to create space for silence. By you being comfortable with silence, it gives the client the ability to be comfortable with silence. And so what I mean by that is leaving that space. So when the client finishes talking and they do look at you, you don't have to be ready with a question. You don't have to ask a question the second they stop talking. When they stop talking, that's actually your turn to think, because you shouldn't be thinking when they're talking. You should be listening when they're talking. You shouldn't decide what to ask while they're talking. You should be listening while they're talking. When they're done, take a breath, think, and ask the next question. And that space that you leave gives the client permission to have space. You see, if you are jumping in right on top of them and asking questions, that sends a message that they need to have their answers ready and prepared to go, and they need to do it quickly and be ready to hand it back over to you so you can ask another question. If you slow down, it gives permission to the client to take the time they need to think and to take the time that they need to express themselves. And remember, many people think while they speak. And so people will be talking and thinking and saying things, and they'll be processing as they go along. And they might stop. And if you jump right in, you've just pulled them off to a different direction. But often when they stop, that bit of silence that you leave between when they stop and you take that breath and figure out your next question, they might actually start talking again. Because often that's a time where they stop talking so their mind can process a bit. And then they start talking again. So that's another reason why we want to leave that space and that time to pause and to reflect. It's good for you. And most of all, it's good for your client.